Hello and welcome to 9-inch Charge. Today we're going to have a look at the Warscroll for the CELESTANT Prime. The CELESTANT Prime was the first Stormcast Eternal that Sigmar forged, but in this new edition the old dog has got some new tricks, so we're going to have a look at his revitalised Warscroll and see how he plays on the tabletop and if he lives up to his legendary status. Just before we begin, I'd like to point you towards our charity raffle. So every single day in December up to and including Christmas Day, we're going to be releasing a video on the channel to help raise awareness and to help raise money for the new sibling school, and specifically to help them get some eye gaze technology which helps children with locked in diagnosis be able to communicate and spell out sentences, and it just lets them join in really and lets them reclaim their lives. So have a look at the link below because there's a link to the raffle. Entries are £5 a go and you can win one of our spectacular prizes, including a Start Collecting Box of your choice and many other cool prizes. The CELESTANT Prime has a whopping move of 12, a 3+ save, which we know is just great in this edition because all out defense will make that a 2+ straight away. Bravery of 10, of course he's bravery 10, you cannot get braver than the CELESTANT Prime, and he has 8 wounds. He carries the keywords Order, Stormcast Eternals, Hero, CELESTANT Prime, and is a single and unique model, so he can't get any upgrades. You can't give him a magic weapon. He's already got Galmaraz, what are you trying to do? He'd be overloaded. And he comes in at 325 points. He's armed with Galmaraz, the Warhammer that Sigmar wielded in the old world, a very legendary and awesome weapon. It has a 2-inch range. It has 3 attacks, and you may think, oh, the CELESTANT Prime only has 3 attacks, but of course, he does have some shenanigans to increase this, so we'll just skip over the number of attacks that it has for the moment. It hits on 3s, wounds on 2s, has a rend of 3, and does damage 3. And again, this is brilliant, because wounding on 2s is really significant this edition, because it's very easy to get buffs to hit. It's not always easy to get buffs to wound. So, with all-out attack, that's 2s and 2s, rend 3, damage 3, and that is quite a weapon. Okay, now let's have a look at how we can make Galmaraz even better. So, let's have a look at the ability Retribution from on high. The CELESTANT Prime descends from Azure into the thickest fighting, Galmaraz glowing with power as it smites the foe. Instead of setting up this unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it is set up in the heavens as a reserve unit. If you do so, at the end of your movement phase, you must say if this unit will remain in reserve or strike from the heavens. At the end of your movement phase, if this unit remains in reserve, add 2 to the attacks characteristic of that unit's Galmaraz for the rest of the battle. If this unit strikes from the heavens, set it up on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy units. So this begins to make Galmaraz really tough. Now, I'm suggesting to people that if they take him, they bring him down on the 3rd turn. I think 7 attacks with Galmaraz like this, with all-out attack, is enough to do massive damage. But of course, you can wait until longer. His Warscroll isn't like, for example, the Shadow Warriors that say any reserve units in the Shadows that are not set up on the battlefield before the start of the 4th battle round are destroyed. So you can bring him down on the last turn if you want to, and just keep that threat going and wind him up. I'm thinking about the old scenario, Knife to the Heart. If you played that, and in the last turn you just dropped him down, and he would just absolutely smash through your opponents. But I think you're going to want to use him for a few turns, and he does have some other abilities that will make him useful on the tabletop for those turns as well. So let's have a look at those. Comet Strike Scepter. Blazing with celestial might, the CELESTANT Prime raises his scepter high before letting it fall, causing comets to rain from above. In your shooting phase, you can pick 1 point on the battlefield within 24 inches of this unit that is visible to it. For each enemy unit within 3 inches of that point, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, nice that he just pulls a comet down into the ground, it explodes, and anything within 3 inches takes the damage. So great if your enemy units are clustered together. If they've got a hero that's trying to use Lookout Sir that's close to a unit, you'll be able to hit both, which would be really cool. The only thing to say is that although this happens in your shooting phase, it is not a shooting attack. It is an ability, so I can't be using this in my Living Cities army to get an extra move or anything like that. But great to be causing mortal wounds every single turn. A massive range of 24 inches. I think that's just great. The other ability that I think is really fantastic is Orrery of Celestial Fates. A storm of celestial energy swirls around the Celestant Prime's feet, granting him mystic insights that aid him in battle. Once per turn, before you make a hit or wound roll for an attack made by this unit, a save roll for an attack that targets this unit, a run or charge roll for this unit, you can say that it will foresee the result of the roll. If you do so, instead of making the roll, you must choose the result of the roll. The result chosen for a d6 must be a whole number from 1 to 6, and the result chosen for 2d6 must be a whole number from 2 to 12. The result cannot be rolled, but any modifiers are still applied to it as normal. For me, this is always the charge roll. He's got to come down 9 inches away. You want to be able to make that charge. I mean, look at the name of this YouTube channel. 9-inch charges are impossible to make. So this just makes that little bit easier. Well, I say that little bit easier. It makes it completely possible. You can just make it a 12. Hopefully, he's going to go in. He's going to absolutely decimate whatever he's gone in against with all-out attack in his 7 attacks or more, depending on when you've brought him down. And then you'll be looking for another target. You've got a move of 12 that never degrades. Then you've always got a charge of 12, as long as you use this on your charge moves and not on your attacks, which I think we said we're not going to, because we can use all-out attack for a command point and he can spend that on himself. So now he is just all over the place, exactly where he's needed to be. He flies, he's got a massive range, he does great damage, and that isn't even all of his abilities. So the last ability is the Eye of the Celestial Storm. And the Celestial Storm brought by the Celestant Prime makes it almost impossible for his foes to land a clean strike. This unit has a ward save of 4+. So now, incredibly tough. You know, all-out defense is a 2+ save, then a 4+ ward save. He's a hero, which means that he can use heroic recovery to try and get D3 wounds back a turn. If I'm honest with you, I do not think he'll need it, because he's coming down late in the day. He chooses his own matchups. I don't think he's going to have any trouble really whatsoever. I think he's a great choice. For 325 points, you know, that puts him around the same as Bastion Carthalos, puts him around the same as Indastra, and I just think that he's really great for those points. I think he's also a really good unit in Cities of Sigmar. I've put him in my Cities of Sigmar army, which is a Living Cities army, but I'd be especially tempted to put him into a Hammerhall army, because the rules for Hammerhall are that if you are a unit and you're within enemy territory, wholly within, and you're within 3 inches of an enemy and 12 inches of a hero, which he is, he'll always be within 12 inches of himself, you can spend a command point to pile in an attack again at the end of the combat phase. And as he can always choose to come into enemy territory, I think that's just really a no-brainer if you're playing Hammerhall, because that's going to be fantastic. I mean, we were just looking at how good he is piling in once and then zipping around the tabletop, but he's pretty much guaranteed to be able to do what he wants there. You know, he's basically Gotrek without the rerolls, but hits harder. So, really fantastic unit. Can't say enough about him, really. I think he shines brighter in Age of Sigmar 3 than I think he has in any other edition, so now's the time to get him. You can actually pick him up for a bargain price in the Mortal Realms magazine. He comes across 2 issues. Now, I cannot remember the numbers of the issues, but for those of you who are out on the look, you might be able to find a second-hand copy of these issues somewhere, and that probably will save you a bit of money if you're looking to get one. Okay, well, I think that's everything I have to say about him. He's been really fantastic in the games I've taken with him, and it's really fun, and like, your opponent has to think about, oh, when's he going to come down? You know, what's going to happen? And then you've always got him to the side. And then when he comes down, it's like, poof, and people are like, oh my goodness, what's he going to do? And he absolutely wrecks. I mean, I had him in a sort of mirror match. It was Cities versus Stormcast. And he came down and he destroyed a Knight Judicator and a unit of 5 Liberators on his own, split the attacks, and just like wiped them both out. So he's really cool. Definitely recommend taking him. Especially, I'd say bring him down turn 3. Turn 3 is always the most decisive turn. Anyway, I could go on and on all day, and I'm not going to. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider entering the charity raffle, because anything that you donate whatsoever will mean so much to these children over the Christmas period. This has been 9-inch Charge, and I will catch you next time.